Connecting the dots, reliving Northwood's history with Carrie Bladorn. Sitting quietly on the shores of West Bay Lake near Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, is a property that has intrigued people for decades. It is said to be the most haunted location in the Northwoods, Summerwind. In the early 1900s, as the Wisconsin logging boom came to an end, many people that came to work in the woods transitioned into the budding resort industry. Such a man was John Frank, who came to the Northwoods to work as a blacksmith and decided to stay. Homesteading on the Cisco chain in Vilas County, he built West Bay Lake Resort, a fishing lodge and several cabins. Around 1916, the property caught the eye of Robert Pattinson Lamont. Originally from Detroit, Lamont worked as an engineer at the 1893 World's Fair in Chicago, then as a steel industry executive, and was later the Secretary of Commerce during the Hoover administration. He purchased the resort property and hired architectural firm Talmadge & Watson of Chicago to design a summer retreat for the Lamont family. The end result was Lilac Hills, as the Lamonts called it, an imposing two-story, 20-room mansion with a large stone terrace overlooking West Bay Lake. Completed in 1918 at a cost of $125,000, almost $3 million today, the summer home was filled with the trappings of the well-to-do, including antiques the Lamonts had collected during their travels. It was an idyllic Northwoods place to escape the stress, hustle, and bustle of Lamont's work in Washington. Or was it? The first whisperings of strange occurrences were noted by the Lamont's maids. They complained to Mrs. Lamont about bizarre noises and smells in the mansion, that the property felt haunted. The Lamonts dismissed the reports for nearly 15 years, until one evening that would change their minds. Legends say that the Lamonts were sitting down for dinner when a ghostly figure interrupted their meal. A tall black specter emerged from the basement door, causing Mrs. Lamont to dart behind her husband. So startled was Mr. Lamont that he produced his pistol and fired 2 shots at the ghost, the bullet holes of which were left in the door. The couple decided then and there to leave the property and never to return. Despite never going back to the mansion, Robert Lamont refused to sell it, as it sat empty and unused until his passing in 1948. The West Bay Lake Mansion was then purchased by the Kiefers. Mr. Kiefer unexpectedly passed away of a heart attack within months of acquiring the property, leaving sole ownership to his wife, Lillian. Little by little, Mrs. Kiefer sold parcels of the estate until just the mansion remained. Although no specific stories of hauntings were passed down from the Kiefers' time, people said that Lillian wouldn't enter the home, giving prospective buyers an uneasy feeling about the place. Time and again, those that tried buying the mansion would have financial troubles that put the property back in Mrs. Kiefer's hands. Finally, after many years of the mansion sitting lonely and deteriorating, the house was bought by Arnold and Ginger Hinshaw. As the eager young couple worked on fixing the home up, they attempted to hire contractors that refused to take on the job. After discovering the original blueprints in the house, they became obsessed with returning the mansion to its glory days. What followed was the Northwoods' very own Amityville horror, as the Hinshaws were haunted by something at the property. Whispering voices, strange presences, lights turning on and off at random, and rooms in the home would seemingly change size and dimension. The Hinshaws saw ghosts moving past the home's dining room French doors, and their daughter experienced visits from a person whom the others could not see. One of the most unsettling reports during the Hinshaws' ownership was the discovery of a large space in the home, hidden behind a closet drawer. Inside the space, both Arnold and their daughter, who was sent in to investigate, clambered back out screaming, having said to have found a corpse stuck in the wall. Strangely, the incident was never reported to authorities, but the story certainly adds to the mystery surrounding the property. Over the course of 6 months, something about the house took hold of Arnold as he slid into a state of mental illness, staying up at all hours of the night playing his organ, becoming insane. Ginger herself attempted to take her own life due to the stress of living in the mansion. Eventually, the couple fled the house, just like the Lamonts. The property was then bought by Ginger's father, Ray Bober, who had high hopes of rehabilitating the house into a bed and breakfast. He too soon began having strange experiences at the property. Ray was convinced that the mansion was being haunted by early North American explorer Jonathan Carver, whose ghost he had connected with during his time at the mansion. Ray went on to write a book in the 1970s about his family's time at the property called The Carver Effect, a paranormal experience, a classic read. It was Ray who began referring to the mansion as Summerwind, a name that has stuck all these years later. After Ray Bober sold the property, the abandoned mansion fell victim to the harsh Northwoods weather as it continued to deteriorate. Legends surrounding Summerwind attracted curious people, paranormal investigators, and thrill seekers, many of whom claimed their own strange experiences. Life magazine wrote an article about Haunted Summerwind in 1980, bringing the property national attention. Something about an old abandoned mansion stirs the human psyche. On June 16, 1988, a storm passed through the Land O'Lakes area, and a lightning strike started the old home on fire. Rumors of arson swirled through the Northwoods at the time, but whether it was the hand of God or man, the neglected and purportedly haunted mansion burned to the ground. These stories only scratch the surface of the mystery and paranormal activity surrounding Summerwind. Much has been written and produced over the years detailing the property's hauntings. Wherever the truth lies, one thing is for sure: Summerwind seems to have had a powerful effect on those that have owned it, and those that have visited even after its destruction. The life of Summerwind blurs the line between history and mystery. Today, the foundation, its towering brick chimneys, and large stone terrace are all that remain of this once illustrious mansion. The ruins of Summerwind, on the shores of West Bay Lake, hold a special, if not spooky, place in Northwoods history. I'm Kerry Bladorn, and this is Connecting the Dots on Newswatch 12. Connecting the Dots, reliving Northwoods history with Kerry Bladorn.
Thank you for watching Connecting the Dots on WJFW. If you have any Northwoods history you'd like to see covered on this program, feel free to send me a message on my Facebook page, Kerry Bladorn, Northwoods Historian, or email me at northwoodshistorian@gmail.com.